Hey, hey, it is a Wake Up and Dream podcast with Kelly, Sarah, and Lisa. And today we have a very special guest with us, Marie Garcia. We met, we all three of us met Marie because of our involvement and connection with Julie Ciardi and the Ignite Her Society and her coaching school. And I don't know about you two, Sarah and Kelly, but to know Marie is to love her. Like, seriously, you are like oozing sweetness in every orifice of your body. And we are so delighted to have you here. Marie is a mom, she's a teacher, and she is a success. She has had amazing success in the corporate world. And currently, she is serving as an Ignite coach and full time with the Julie Ciardi organization. And you are such a good fit. So, Marie, I want you to just open it up, share with us a little bit about yourself, and then kind of lean into your favorite quote, which I'm going to share here. Her quote is, "The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away." Ah, I love that. Picasso.
Yes, Lisa. And first, I just want to say it is an absolute pleasure to be here with you ladies. I so appreciate the invitation and I'm excited to have this conversation and to share a little bit more about that quote because it absolutely is a personal favorite of mine. So personally, I am a mother to three beautiful children. I have two teenage daughters, ages 15 and 14. Their names are Bella and Lily. And then I have a 9-year-old son, Austin. I've been married to my best friend for almost 15 years and a lot of life lived in those 15 years. Even recently, we moved back to Washington State, is where we originally raised our kids. We took a 3-year hiatus and moved to sunny Arizona, which I personally absolutely love. I just love the sunshine. But we're now back into the Pacific Northwest. And I've got to say, there's just something magical about this area. The trees, the water, the fact that the temperature, instead of being in the triple digits, is in the 80s. So we're definitely enjoying that part of this transition. What you shared professionally. So, with respect to my profession, I did spend 14 years in corporate. I feel like that's where I grew up. And I had like myriad different roles within that organization and truly enjoyed what I did, but always desired for more. And it truly ties to that quote of the meaning of life is to find your gift, and the purpose of life is to give it away. I have always believed that each and every one of us are born with divine, unique gifts. And so that as we're on this earth, it's to discover what those gifts are and then openly share that with everyone. And so that's kind of what led me onto the path with Ignite, as you have mentioned. So I'm now a master coach and an advisor working with Julie Ciardi within Ignite Her Society and the Ignite Coach School. So pretty much every day, I'm helping women get crystal clear on what they want in their life. And then I simply walk alongside them as they make it happen. And I feel like I kind of hit the jackpot and have like the ultimate dream job. I mean, it brought me to the three of you, right? Like these incredible, amazing women. And that's who I get to talk to and guide and teach and coach every single day. I mean, I just get goosebumps, just sharing it with all of you. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thanks so much, Marie, for coming and joining us today. For me personally, because I, am in corporate type of job right now, and just seeing both you and Julie, and you finding your gift and sharing your gift, it's really inspiring. It's really inspiring to know that I could still be at the very beginning of my journey as I'm doing all of this work, and who knows what else is out there. And I just, when I saw this quote come through, I had to read it a couple of times. So do you want to dive in a little bit more to just, this quote, the significance, and how that helped your journey to transition? Because I feel like it's such a powerful quote.
Oh, I love that question. And absolutely. So it's interesting how this quote came into my life. So I'll tell a little bit of a story. In 2017, I found myself in a role in my corporate job that I did not care for. And I remember thinking to myself, where am I? Like, it's almost as if I kind of lost myself as I became a mom. I got married, I got the job, I was just doing the things, going through the motions. But I really wanted to reconnect and rediscover, like, but who am I outside of all of these different roles? And so in 2017, I took a leap of faith and I hired a personal development coach. And in one of our sessions, she asked, well, what do you want to do in this life? What's your mission? And I remember telling her, I want to help women discover their divine gifts. And for them to then step fully into that power and into that space and share it with others. And she was actually the one that was like, oh, this reminds me of a quote from Pablo Picasso. And then she shared the quote. And I thought that beautifully captures what I have been looking for. I mean, as long as I can remember. Actually, this journey, we talk about the transition, it went well before being in corporate. I remember being like 9 or 10 years old and walking home from Michelle Stevens' house. And I was walking home up the hill, and the sun was setting over the Puget Sound. So I lived in a town called Steilacoom near Fort Lewis. Beautiful, beautiful area. And I remember something compelled me to stop. And I turned around and I watched the sunset over the water and the mountains. And I thought to myself, I will never see this sunset just as it is here in this moment, as I am in this moment. What a gift. And then as I started to continue to walk home, I thought of this gift that I just witnessed, right? From Mother Nature herself. And the question popped up, if God created this earth and this earth has gifts to give, and God also created me, does that mean that I might have gifts that I too can offer? And honestly, the journey started at that moment. And I was incredibly blessed to have parents who fully supported that journey, that learning. They were open to answering my questions, the exploration. And it truly started then. It was just like, so what are my gifts? What are my gifts? What are my gifts?
Maria, I
And
was
so,
just going to ask
yeah.
you that when you had that vision and that feeling of what are the gifts that God gave me? Did you know them at the time, or was that something that you knew a few and not all of them, and you kind of went through this process of discovering them yourself?
Oh, yes. It's such a good question. And that's the thing. At first, I didn't. I believe that we all do know, right? But there's maybe some sort of internal block that's blocking us from really tapping into it. And so it truly was a discovery journey for me. And so I thought, you know what? I'm just going to talk to the people who know me. Mom, what do you think my gifts are? And I remember her saying, she's like, you are just a ray of sunshine. I mean, you just see the positive in everything. And I thought, oh, okay, maybe. And so in my journals, I wish I had them out here. We moved. So there. But even in my journals, as I was reading them before this podcast, I have the notes from my mom sharing what she thought my gifts were, asking my dad, going to my best friend, Michelle, like, why are you my best friend? Like, what is it that you love about me? And that's kind of how that started.
Oh, Marie, this is so incredible. Like to think that you have been blessed with the gifts of parents and friends that have helped you to see your gifts at such an early age. Like, I think about all the moms out there that are listening to this podcast and like the power of our words to our kids.
Or the moms right here. Because
Yeah, right?
as you were speaking, I'm like 8 or 9, like my kids are going to be 7. Like I wonder, like I feel like that's a very powerful thing for you to experience at such a young age, which is right around, I know Jace is around, is he 10, Kelly?
He'll be 10 next month. Yes.
So yeah, I feel like it's
Mhm.
something that our kids could be experiencing, and what can we do to help them, accept, it's just an interesting perspective as you were speaking.
For sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something, even as a mom, as I mentioned, in the introduction of 3 children, reflecting on that and opening that space to them, just as my parents did, right? It was like I always felt that I was enough, um, and accepted fully for who I was. Like I didn't have to do anything for my parents to love me or to feel special. They were just both, like I said, just incredibly blessed that they were just very mindful about that. My dad was a emergency room doctor who got his master's in counseling. My mother was a social worker focused on military families that had children with special needs and also had a master's in counseling. So I think it just came right with the environment in which I grew and thrived in. But certainly, it's just that the power of our words, the power of parent to child, and that when my parents talked to me, I didn't feel like I felt like they were speaking to me as an equal. So, just to expand a little bit on that, here comes this child saying, "What are my dreams?" I felt like I meant for more. And they didn't laugh and blow it off. Like they sat down and kind of met the level of seriousness that I had with it. And we're just like, oh, like we can tell this is really important to you. And so we're going to speak from a place of letting you know that we feel that this is really important to you as well. And how can we best support you? And that's something that I've carried on with my 3 children as well.
Oh, that just touches my heart so much. And I think would give our listeners just so much hope. You use the word hope too, like being in corporate and not feeling satisfied or knowing that you were meant for more. I think that just can resonate with so many of us. So when you had that feeling and you were in corporate and you had this conversation with your parents and your friends, then kind of what were the next steps? Because you didn't just, or maybe you did, I don't know, did you just quit your job and then start with Ignite? So like, what were some of the things that you kind of had to plan out, or did you just rip off the Band-Aid? What did you kind of do to step into this person that you knew you needed to be for the world and for the women to help them become who they were meant to be? How did you kind of decide, I guess is my question.
Yeah, absolutely, Kelly. And so, with that background, it was an active journey. And then I mentioned with you guys, but when I became a mom and a wife, it was almost like that self exploration, taking the time to think and ponder. It's almost like it just shut off because all of a sudden, I'm a wife. Well, what does that mean? I'm a mom. Oh my gosh, there's these people I need to take care of that I'm responsible for. I have a job. There are bills, and so that kind of, dominated my thoughts, my being, my actions. It just completely changed almost in a moment. And then it was on my 30th birthday. I'm pregnant with Austin. And I woke up on that day. And that's when it was just like, where am I? Whose life is this? And I just realized I was like, "Oh my gosh, when's the last time I asked myself these questions?" Or even thought about what is it that I want just as Marie, not the mom, not the wife, not the corporate leader, but just me. And in that moment, I made the decision and declared that I was going to start that journey again. I was going to pick up from where I left off in my late teens, early 20s, and figure this out. And Kelly, I wish that it was just like, yep, this is it. See a job, here I go. It wasn't. It actually was 9 years from that 30th birthday. And I went back to school. I thought maybe I'll be a naturopathic doctor. I became a Zumba instructor. I became a Reiki healer. I went back into tennis instruction because because I was like, what do I need to do? So I did all of the things. I thought, well, what do I love about this? What do I love about that? So there's something for your viewers and those who are listening in. I would say, have fun, explore, try all of the things, because in everything you try, you learn something more about yourself. It's either, ooh, I don't like that. Nope. All right, cool. Let's cross that off. Or, ooh, there's something here that I really enjoy. I think I'm gonna kind of go down this path. And that's truly what I did for 9 years. And then by chance in 2020, I came across Julie, and so it brought me here today.
Wow, wow, wow. You know what? You resonated with all three of us when you talked about, like, you go into this tunnel when you become a mom and a wife and an employee, and you're just like, you're on the hamster wheel and you're just going nowhere fast, honestly. But it's survival. It's like, well, there's bills to be paid, and Tommy's got to get here, and Susie's got piano lessons, and like, you just become everything for everyone else in that season. And I love the idea of awakening, because our podcast name is Wake Up and Dream. And I feel like so much happens, we kind of bury ourselves. We put ourselves not even on the list. We're not even on the list, as, oh, I'm on the bottom. No, I'm not even on the list. Which is crazy, because what good are we if we're just empty and depleted, all of that? But yet, when you know I'm heading towards empty nest season, and it's been just in the last 3 to 5 years that I've really dove in to go, what do I want? Have I even ever asked myself that question? We as women, we don't even allow that question to be a valid question to sit and ponder and answer, which is sad, because, like you started, we have been given divine gifts that are unique to each and every one of us. It doesn't matter if we're a wife or a mom or an employee or an entrepreneur or a redhead, or, it doesn't matter. It matters because we're God's creation, given gifts. Yeah. So, so
And
powerful.
and one other thing I want to add too is or point out is the timing, Marie. So 9 years, like I have lots of things going through my head, and things are not happening quickly in my version of quickly, but things are happening, and it's really important for our listeners to understand that this is a process. It's a process of just figuring out, trying to be the tennis instructor or the Zumba instructor, and to kind of see where things land and just enjoy of the journey to get there. It's something that I need to work on as well, but it just all kind of flows into that process. So I think the fact that 9 years was what it took for you to get to this point, and you're not done either, right? So it's all just kind of going to unfold in the time that it's meant to.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny that you bring that up, Sarah, because when I started, as Kelly asked the question, I'm mentioning all of these things. I remember signing up for a 30-day meditation. I was like, yes, in 30 days, I will become exactly who I want to be. And then it didn't. I was like, what the heck? I was there every day for 30 days. But what's interesting is I kept it up. And I'm glad that you brought this up because I really want to also emphasize to your listeners the power of micro shifts and small steps, because small steps truly turn into giant leaps over time. And I remember, I think it was a year of doing the 30-day meditations. And one day I woke up and it was just like, oh, like something had shifted and I felt different. The thoughts in my head were different. The actions I was taking were different. And I remember thinking, well, when and where did that happen? But it was like that continuous work, continue showing up, not stopping, and just allowing it to take the time it needed to take. And I will tell you, I've heard this many times, whether it takes 2 months or 2 years, would it be worth it? For me, whether it takes 9 months or 9 years, would it be worth it? And I would say absolutely, because it truly is a journey. And that was something I didn't really understand because I wanted to get to that destination so desperately. And I wanted to get there quick. But what I've come to realize is that the gift of the journey is who you become in that process. The lessons learned, the experiences you have, the people you connect with, the relationships you build, that's the gift. Not just that end point of where you someday will be. And so that's just been, yeah, it's been incredible. It's been an incredible 9-year journey, and I look forward to the next 50, 60, 70 years of it.
That's right. Marie, that is so great because I feel like we start to have goals or who can we become, and we want the results right now. And then we also think, okay, once I become this, I'll be happy. Once I'm here, then I will feel fulfilled. However, I love how you just pointed out, it's the journey that is really like where you reap all the rewards and feel the goodness and having those aha moments along the way. Because Julie has taught all of us, if you're waiting for that goal to finally be reached and you're waiting for that to create the happiness, you're probably not going to get it. You won't feel that when you get there. So I just love how you pointed that out because it is the journey. 9 years, 9 months, depending on how big the goal is or what you're trying to figure out. I think that is just beautiful. So good. Thank you so much for sharing that. So one thing that you could leave our listeners that are tuning into this episode with us, which I hope everyone on the planet hears what Marie has to say, because this is so great. But what guidance would you give them as they begin to just dream of what's possible for the rest, 2 years, 20 years, 80 years?
Yes. The guidance that I would give is to fully believe in your potential for greatness, to know that every person on this planet, including you, is a uniquely valuable individual with distinct gifts and potential for greatness. And to know this is absolute truth. That is the guidance I would give, and to believe that it's true. And if you don't believe it yet, feel free to borrow my belief until you get there. But that each and every one of us is an endless source of possibility and potential. And I know that to be absolutely true.
Oh, Marie, that just gives me goosebumps. And I'm so excited to have been able to have you here with us. This has been an absolute joy. Thank you so, so much. We're going to have to do another episode. I'm just predicting it and saying it now because this is so great. Even just being the host of this podcast, I'm going to put this on repeat and I'm going to download this episode because I just want to hear and be reminded of all the great nuggets that you shared with us today, Marie. I'm so, so grateful. So to all of our listeners, thanks for joining in. And until next time, wake up and dream.